There they are. What's going on, guys? Vital Brad here, and welcome to another episode of It's Feeding Time. All right. Welcome to episode 3. This is a series, It's Feeding Time, of how I gained control over food addiction, a lot of addictions. I've lost close to 50 pounds now. Last episode, we talked about what to eat, specifically cutting out sugar, carbs, getting fat adapted with the ketogenic diet. In this episode, we're going to add another step to it. We call this phase 2. This is when to eat. So specifically, we're going to be talking about intermittent fasting and O.M.A.D, which is 1 meal a day. Most people don't have a food problem, they have a timing problem. And just by adjusting the way we eat, giving our body a fasting period, time to digest, time to get into a state called autophagy, time to allow our mitochondria to decouple. There's a lot of benefits by not eating constantly throughout the day. Now, just before we get into anything, remember, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a scientist, I'm not an astronaut. I'm just a regular guy with a camera and a microphone. And I'm actually an addict in recovery. Over 18 months, clean and sober, off drugs and alcohol, and really worked on my food addiction. I'm off caffeine. I'm off all medications. Pretty much rely on food and water and the big man upstairs. So before you make any changes, always check with your doctor. This is not medical advice. I'm just sharing what system I did to gain control over my addiction, my carnal desires, my insatiable thirst of overeating, and gain discipline and happen to lose, like I say, close to 50 pounds now. We've been trained in modern society to eat all day. You know, you have 3 square meals, you have your breakfast when you get up, you have a little snack at 10, you got your lunch, you got another little snack in the afternoon, you got dinner, then you got to have dessert, and then you have that little snack before bedtime. And then if you were like me, you'd wake up in the middle of the night, wander to the kitchen, take a bite of this or that. We're always in a fed state. We've been trained to eat all day. So in this phase, after I had gotten fat adapted, I changed my diet to keto. I didn't worry about when I was eating or how much I was eating. I just wanted to get rid of carbs and sugar. Now in this phase, I wanted to restrict and limit the times that I was eating, called intermittent fasting. And a very common window of fasting is called 16-8. Basically, you fast for 16 hours and you have an 8-hour eating window. Not something we're necessarily going to jump into right away, but the idea behind this is you give yourself a window of time that you're able to eat. When it's outside of that time, you don't eat. And you hold yourself to that. It takes that discipline. So if you start in a big window, let's just say 8 a.m., you can start eating. So you don't eat before then. Wake up, do what you got to do. 8 a.m. you start eating. And you can freely eat your keto diet. And then you shut it off at 7 p.m. Once it hits 7 p.m., you stop. So you can consume all the calories you want in that middle window. That's your eating window. And then from 7 a.m. all the way back around till 8 p.m., you just don't eat. You don't put food or anything with caloric value in your mouth. It's intermittent fasting. And one side note that I found, and the reason I say 7 p.m. in the evening, is there's a lot of benefits to giving your body at least 3 hours of not eating before you go to bed. We'll get into that a little more later. But if we think about a little bit how our ancestors ate, they had to go hunt and gather their food. They had times of feast and famine. They had times of light and darkness. They weren't able just to constantly eat all throughout the day. There were times when they had a successful hunt, they ate really, really well, and then there was other times where they wouldn't. We've really removed famine from society. Food is always available, whether in your home or Uber Eats. You can have it delivered. 24-hour gas station. It's constantly available. So this concept of intermittent fasting isn't extreme. It's returning our bodies back to what they were designed for. We don't need to eat all day. It's actually good for us to learn to go without sometimes. Because when we're allowing our body that fasted state, again, there's a lot of benefits. We're allowing our body to not only burn fat, but we're also building discipline. Discipline creates vitality, and that's the life you want. So there's going to be a lot of benefits that start happening in phase 2. This, again, might be one of the most important aspects of this program is when you eat. Let's talk about the most obvious, fat burning. When you eat, your body releases insulin. Insulin tells your body to store fat, to hold on to it. So if you're eating all day, your body never gets a chance to burn fat. It's always storing it for energy later. It thinks it needs to. Fasting lowers insulin, and when insulin drops, our body can finally start burning fat. Not because it's magic, but because there's no other option. It uses the fat for fuel. But when food's always coming in, it doesn't need to use the fat reserves. Another benefit, you're going to find stable energy. Do you feel that up and down or that afternoon crash? That's your blood sugar going up and then crashing down. When you fast, you're not constantly spiking your blood sugar. So instead of these spikes up and down, it's just a sustained constant energy. With this program, your body is running on fat, which is a more stable fuel source. Fat burns slow and steady. Sugar burns fast and crashes. Another benefit, one of my personal favorites, is the mental clarity and the focus. When you're not digesting food all day, your body isn't distracted. Blood flow isn't constantly going to your stomach. Instead, your brain gets sharper. Your focus gets clearer. You get clarity. There's actually a lot of high performers that prefer to work in a fasted state. You think better when you're not always eating. Hormone optimization. We talked about insulin. Insulin goes down, growth hormone goes up, those fat-burning hormones increase. But there's also growth hormone, HGH. It's especially powerful, helps with lean muscle mass, body fat reduction, burning fat, quicker recovery. It's really your body switching from storage mode to performance mode. My favorite thing about fasting is called autophagy. Autophagy is literally, it's our cells eating themselves. They renew themselves. And when you get to about that 16 hours fasted, you go into autophagy. You can kind of think of it like your body taking out the trash. Old broken cells get renewed and your body becomes more efficient. Fasting isn't just burning fat, it's literally cleaning house. And also, intermittent fasting, it helps you develop a healthy relationship with food. Fasting teaches you something that a lot of people don't learn, that we don't need to eat every time we feel hungry. You actually start to learn that hunger comes and goes. Feel hungry for a second, if you don't give in and feed it, it goes away. we are actually in control of our body. Food isn't an emergency, and that builds self-discipline. Also, one thing I really love about this program is the simplicity of my schedule. I now have a smaller window of eating that it frees up time for me to get other things done. Less meals, less cooking, less cleaning up, less distractions, more focus, more control. Simple system is actually the best one. So when we combine phase 1 with what foods we're eating with phase 2 when we're eating clean, whole foods. We're not just eating better, we're eating smarter. So the way to get into this, again, you aren't going to go extreme overnight. It's a ramp-up system. It can be over a 6-week, a 12-week period where you're slowly shrinking down your eating window. Let's say, just to get into this, start at a 12-hour eating, 12-hour fasted. From 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. you can eat. But from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. you don't eat. Stay away from the fridge. Don't even peek in the refrigerator. Week 2, slide that first meal back. Push it back to 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. So you don't eat before 8. You're going to feel a little hungry, but you push it back. Week 3, push it back another hour. Go 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Now you're at a 10-hour eating window. 14 hours fasted. Again, the hunger might show up, but it comes and goes. Week 4, push it back another hour. Now you're at 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. You're going to go the morning without eating anything. Might be really easy for some people. It was actually fairly easy for me when I started this. I wasn't much of a morning eater anyway, so it was easier for me to push my window up that way. There's going to be other people that don't care to eat in the evenings, and maybe they'll be doing 7 a.m. to 7, and then to 6 p.m., then to 5 p.m., and to 4 p.m. It's all going to be based on your schedule and your lifestyle. Week 5 is going to be the sweet spot when you hit that 16-8. 8-hour eating window, 16 hours fasted. Most people can sustain this lifestyle for indefinite, long period of time. 11 a.m. you start eating, so you basically have lunch, and then you stop eating by 7. That's an 8-hour window. If you did that, you're going to get so many benefits from being fasted for 16 hours every day. Now, week 6, my personal experience, I dropped down to a 6-hour eating window. So I was doing noon to 6 was my window. And I did that for quite some time. I found that worked well with my work schedule. 6 hours eating, I could get well fed. And then once 6 p.m. hit, it was over. I stopped eating. Waited all the way till noon the next day to start eating. It isn't easy, especially at first. It's a whole different world. It's a different lifestyle that you only eat between those hours. But it's worth it. And this really sets you up for O.M.A.D, which is 1 meal a day, which is what I currently do. And I personally love it. But I didn't start that until phase 3. So we'll cover it, but you don't need to worry about starting that now. During this process, it's very normal to feel hungry, especially when you wake up in the morning. Just hold strong until your eating window opens up. Wait till whatever designated time you've chosen to start eating. We don't like change as humans. We're in our routine, especially our body gets used to a certain pattern. But after 3 or 4 weeks, you get used to it. You adapt, you change, you grow, you become stronger. Once you start feeling improved energy, improved mood, it really starts to get fun. And it's really not that it's getting easier, it's that you're getting stronger. Just some basic rules to remember during this process. Drink a lot of water. You can trick your brain even. When you're feeling those hunger cravings, drink water. Water is your best friend. Drink a lot of water. I drink at least a gallon a day. No exaggeration. I drink Kangen water, 9.5 pH. And electrolytes. I get iodized salt, potassium, magnesium. Electrolytes are critical. Salt everything. Be generous. If you're still using caffeine, black coffee doesn't break a fast. You could do that anytime. Some people need their coffee in the morning to get going. If it's not in your eating window, black coffee doesn't break your fast. One other thing is try not to binge too much, especially in phase 2, where there's no limit on calories, as soon as you break your fast. It can be really easy to overdo it. In phase 3, we're going to talk about next week and next episode, we're going to be tracking our calories. Not going to worry about restricting calories quite up front, but initially you just want to start tracking everything. You're going to be surprised how many calories are in what. There's a lot of free apps that kind of show you plug it in. It's like, oh, whoa. Like, that's that many calories? That didn't even fill me up. That wasn't even tasty. And you start realizing what's worth eating versus what's really not. Like I say, when we get into phase 3, and we have our keto diet, our time frame that we're eating, and then limiting the calories, you might be like me, where if I'm doing 2,000 calories a day, I hit that fairly quick. Even if I have a 6-hour eating window, I can hit that within the first 2 or 3 hours. Well, if I hit my calorie consumption limit and my time's still up, well, that just means I stop eating. I hit my limit. If I still have calories to eat, but I'm outside my window, well, I missed it for the day. That's where O.M.A.D comes into place, 1 meal a day. And that's what I'm on now. O.M.A.D isn't an extreme punishment. It's actually a solution. I really love prepping all my food, say 1,800 calories, sitting down, thanking God, enjoying a big glorious meal of healthy fats and protein. I really, really enjoy it. It's actually where I got the podcast name, because I would sit down after fasting for 23 hours, ready to eat this glorious meal, and I'd say, "It's feeding time." And I'd get to eat. So good. And then it frees up the rest of my day. I could be done in 20 minutes. I could be done in 30 minutes. I could be done in an hour. And then I've got my calories in, my protein, my fat. I don't need to eat the rest of the day. I literally have the rest of the day to be productive and get things done. So satisfying. This way is living very intentional. Food is fuel. You get your meal, you get your calories to fuel your body. It gives you what you need to sustain you for the day. And then don't worry about food the rest of the day. I always have something to look forward to in the morning because I'm so excited for feeding time. There's control. I've consciously chose this routine, this pattern, this system. And the results are absolutely worth it. You're present with your food. You're grateful. And once you're done, you're done. You hit your calorie limit. No grazing, no guilt, no what's next, no scrounging through the fridge. Just discipline, followed by satisfaction. It's not about eating all day. It's eating with purpose. Now, I mentioned before, starting this out, giving yourself that 3-hour fasting time before you go to bed. So if you go to bed at 10, you want to try to stop eating by 7. If you eat right before bed, your body's still digesting. Your body's still working. It's processing food. Instead of fully resting and getting that deep sleep that you really need, your body's working. And it really can't do both efficiently at the same time. So give yourself that 3-hour window before bed. When you're fasted at night, our body goes into recovery mode, creates the growth hormone, which helps again with fat loss, repair, recovery. But if you eat late, your body's going to spike insulin and it's just going to hang on to the fat all night. It shuts down. Laying down after eating is going to cause bloating, acid reflux, poor digestion. Not a good situation. Try to avoid eating 3 hours before bed. And also just cutting off food before bed builds control. Again, this is about showing yourself that your spirit, who you are, controls this physical body, which is just our temporary spacesuit. If you can win the night by stopping your food early, it sets you up for a win the next day. Final thought here, I just want to give you an option too. Starting this out, this isn't about being perfect. It's about learning and growing and progressing. One approach that works really, really well is being strict with this system Monday through Friday, taking the weekend off as far as you're still going to eat the right foods, but just the eating window portion. Give yourself that early morning brunch with your family. Have that Super Bowl steak in the evening. Structure during the week, flexibility on the weekend. Find a system that works for you. I've been on this a long time, and there have been moments where it is mentally tough, emotionally tough. I was out the other day with a group of people, and I had already eaten my calories for the day, and they were all eating. I was literally watching them eat. It looked very, very tasty. Choice I made. But for times like that, planning ahead, giving yourself some flexibility is an option. How bad do you want it? If you have 5 disciplined days with 2 relaxed ones, you're winning. Set boundaries, keep your food quality high. Don't turn it into a binge that you lose all progress. It's flexibility, not chaos. Because the goal is you're not on a diet. You're building a lifestyle here. Something that's sustainable for you and that works for you. I've developed this as a 12-week program that if someone wants to get in shape, lose 20, 30, 40 pounds, it's very, very doable, very achievable. Reach their goal, and after 12 weeks, loosen up. But for me, it is more of a lifestyle. I do not want to go back to the person that I was, that I just continue going, and it works for me. I really do love it. So that's really intermittent fasting, creating yourself the restricted time window. In next episode, we're going to be tracking our calories and being intentional about how much we eat. That is where this weight loss transformation comes in. Combination of all these things, intermittent restricted keto. Again, weight loss is calories in, calories out. If you're eating more calories than you're burning, you're gonna gain weight. If you're burning more calories than you're eating, you're gonna lose weight. So we're gonna get clear on the amount of calories you want to have per day based on your activity level and track your calories and stick to it. A saying that I really like is if you aren't tracking, you're slacking. But anyway, that's phase 2. The time you eat, intermittent fasting and O.M.A.D. So, hope you gained some value from this. Make sure you subscribe, like the video. If you found any value, share it with your friend. We're creating a community of like-minded, like-hearted people, and this is just the beginning. That's really all I've got for you. So I'll see you on the next one. One love.